Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Redmissed in the house once again. How you doing? I hope everyone's doing great. I'm doing great, and we, my friends, are playing some more Magic Legion. Now, I want to go ahead today and talk a little bit about skills and ability points. Now, the reason why I want to do this, guys, is because so many of you are asking what skills should you bring when you're of a certain level. Now, me personally, I truly believe that these skills inside the game are the skills that you need to get and that you need to work towards. Now, the only spell, I keep saying skills, the only spell that will change in this deck is the curse. Other than that, every single spell will stay in the game. Now, the only reason that the curse is going to change in your deck, that is purely because of the fact of whether you are fighting in PvP or PvE. Now, if you don't know what the difference between that is, PvP will be things like your dungeons. In fact, we can go here. So PvP will be your dungeon, and it will also be your arena. PvE is going to be your map, your explorer map. So this is PvE. So this is what you're going to be using curse for. But then if you're playing inside either the dungeon or inside the arena, you're going to want to change that spell out for your other spell, which is going to be right here, which is your stone skin. Now, every single one of these spells you need to go and upgrade. Now, the reason, should I say the next reason I have these skills in a particular order is quite simply because of, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Like, being able to have a nice flow of spells. So, 9 times out of 10, when you come into a PvP fight, you're going to want to go ahead and hit Thorn of the Abyss, or you're going to want to hit Purification, one of the two. Now, Purification is a nice spell to have second, so that you can use it once the witch has locked you down, so you're not losing like 1 second of a timing, but that's neither here nor there. So, first of all, you're going to want Touch of the Abyss, a super strong spell and probably the most powerful spell inside the game. Knocking down the enemy for 6 seconds, dealing 400 damage. Really, really powerful spell. Your next one is going to be Ward. Again, fully upgraded, is going to block 6,000, 10% damage. So effectively, you're going to be able to block 2 shots from Arno, which is a huge amount of damage blocking, which is crazy. Your next one is Rara Thor. Upgraded is going to do 2,000% damage to a target. Again, absolutely crazy. Now, you've already seen Purification, and I've gone on about how important Purification is. Now, Cannon is also a very, very important spell if you use the Witch. On top of that, if you don't use the Witch, Cannon is very important to use as your next spell after the Touch of the Abyss, because the Touch of the Abyss stuns the targets for 6 seconds, which means that your Cannon is going to do an extra 1,200% damage. Obviously, Piggin is just because it's an amazing spell, doing tons of extra damage, stopping the enemy from attacking you because of obviously they're a pig, blah, 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 blah. Now, Fire Glove and also Blade is just because they are 2 very big damage dealing spells that I really like to use. So these can kind of be replaced to anything that you want. But this Blade you should bring no matter what, because it attacks front and back line. So when somebody is actually using the Ward spell, this is a very good spell to have, because it's going to do a bonus 975% damage to the unit in the front and the back row. So that means that this shield is effectively going to take 18,000% damage from this spell, as well as whatever damage it actually does on top of that because of your standard spells. So this is really, really important. Then, as I say, curse will depend on whether or not you are in PvE or PvP. PvE, you want to bring the curse because it's going to make the enemy weaker, but your stone skin is going to protect one unit against any damage for depending on how much you have it upgraded. So, for example, mine right now, for 4 seconds, he can resist 6 damaged attacks. So this is pretty damn crazy. It means that he can be attacked 6 times in that 4 seconds and survive. So whichever one comes first, whether it's 6 attacks or if it's 4 seconds, that is how long they're going to be protected for. So they basically get 4 seconds of immortality, which means they cannot be killed. Now, final spell is Reaper's Scythe. Now, this is just so overpowered, it is unreal. For PvE, this is probably the best spell you can get. For PvP, it's just really nice for getting rid of Arno super quickly. So that being said, we're going to move away from the spells, guys, and we're going to go into the most important spells that you need to focus on buying in terms of passive and all of that kind of stuff. So let's go into the academy and we'll make our first trip over to the Grand Arena. It's not the Grand one at all, is it? It's the is it the Ancient one? It is. So the very first trip that you need to make is the God of Blood in the Ancient Academy. It's going to cost you 1,000 runes, but this is the #1 must-buy spell in the game. No matter what, you have to buy this spell because it's just the best spell you can have. Now, I have upgraded this spell. So to upgrade this spell, you're going to have to go into your PvP, or sorry, your PvE, and you're going to have to get to the Death Rift. Now, by getting yourself into the Death Rift, you can come into the library, which is right here, and you can go ahead and buy the upgrade, which is right here. You can see for 8,000 diamonds is going to change the effects over to all of your heroes. So this means that once you buy this, every single one of your heroes is going to get a bonus 20% XP at the end of the battle. They're going to get 20% less reduction on damage, and I think it's 20% more attack power or something. Can't quite remember. So really, really important. Also, once you get here, you're also going to want to buy the huge upgrade for the ward spell, which is going to add a bonus of 4,000% damage to it. And you're also going to want to buy the immunity for the 8 seconds to upgrade for your purification spell. Now, these are your main 3 spells that you must upgrade. So, for example, you have to get the God of Blood spell first and upgrade that first. That is your main priority. Your second priority is getting and upgrading purification. Your third priority is upgrading the ward spell, because by the time you get to here, you should have both purification and the ward spell. So then you just need to upgrade these bad boys, because these are your 2 main, or they are your 2 defensive spells. Now, once you've got them, guys, your next priority would be to go back into the normal academy, and don't forget to, obviously you're going to need to be upgrading these spells at the same time, but that's easily said, so I'm not going to go into that. But then you're going to want to go back into this one, and you're going to want to go ahead and buy Aura. Now, the reason why you want to do this is because look at what it gives you, guys. Friendly units' attack speed is raised by 30% permanently. Now, everybody knows that if you're faster than your enemy opponent, then you're going to have the advantage in the game, i.e. you're potentially going to win. Now, that is the skills, guys. Obviously, you need to go into the academies and also your libraries, and you need to buy the upgrades for those skills. So your standard upgrades, whatever, go and buy the passive skills that you want to buy, but they're the main skills you're going to need to get and what you need to focus on. Now, obviously with your mount is down to pure luck as to how good of a mount you've got, but depending on what mounts you've got depends on if you're going to need, or whether or not you should kind of focus on leveling up its skills or not. But I would say the majority of the time, as long as you've got a 5-star or a 6-star mount, you won't really need to worry about that too much. You're just going to have to worry about going and upgrading them, because the more that you upgrade them, obviously the more benefits you're going to get. So as you can see here, my level 6 at level 9, or my 6-star at level 9, is going to give me a bonus 200 strength, end, and whiz. Huge amount of power upgrade, and I'm going to show you just how huge it is. If you look right here, if I take this guy out, look at my battle damage right now. I have currently 988,000 battle damage. Okay guys, this is how important it is to level up your mount, because if you look at this, by going and adding this guy into my team, look at my battle damage now, guys. I've now got 141 million. That means that this, just adding this mount into my team, who is a level 9, has just given me 60,000 battle damage. That is pretty damn crazy, just from a mount. Obviously, that's not going to be as high if it is a 5-star that you've got, but make sure that you upgrade it. Now, the next thing that I want to go ahead and do is quite simply, I want to show you how you prioritize your abilities. So I'm not going to bother resetting both of them here. I'm just going to reset my ability points at the bottom. But you can see here, your main priority, guys, is damage. So you want to mainly focus on leveling up your whiz. So you focus your whiz, and then as and when you can, you build up your HP. So this is the same sort of principle as with Arno. So for example, with Arno, you want to focus his strength, and then as and when you can, you focus the end. So that's going to give him more survivability because it's going to give him more HP. But what we need to do here, guys, is we need to look at what is the most viable way of leveling up. Now, as I've said to you before, I go into my shop on a daily basis, and I will use my resources in the shop to go ahead and buy the ability cards. As you can see, I've already bought a few of them. I'm out of resources at the moment, so I can't buy any other ones. So just make sure that you focus on buying up these cards, and also inside your shop, make sure you focus on buying up your chests and stuff, because you can get the ability cards from the chests. Really, really helpful. Now, because I've been doing all of that, guys, and also from playing the map, from playing the arena, from playing your PvE areas, you're going to unlock various cards at those points as well. Now, first priority, you need to look at your main board. So as you can see here, first priority is making it so you're going to crit a lot. So you can see down at the bottom left, 4 from the bottom, you can see that my crit possibility is at 60%. Now this means I'm only going to crit 60% of the time. That is not good enough, because it means that you do no damage really. So you want to go ahead and make that 100%. No matter what, you need it to be 100%. So this is the source of your power. Crit is power. So as you can see here, by having 100% crit rate, that means you're going to have your crit damage of a bonus of 320% every single time you attack, because you have 100% crit rate. Now, the only way crit rate is going to be affected is if somebody has crit resistance. So you can see right here, I have 10% crit resistance, which means that I'm only going to have a 90% chance of hitting their main hero with a crit shot. So if I look at Arno, he also has a 10% crit rate resistance as standard. If I look at the War Mage, he also gets a standard 10% crit rate. Do you see where I'm going here with this, guys? Like, look at this. The king actually has a 25% crit rate resistance. So when I attack a king, it means I've only got a 75% chance that I'm actually going to land a crit shot on him. So we need to work around that, guys. We need to make sure that every single time we hit with a shot, we are going to get a crit shot. So that means we're going to have to build this up and make it 25%. So as you can see here now, my crit possibility is 125%, which means even if the enemy has a king in his front row, it is 100% going to hit with a crit shot, which means that I am 100% going to deal that 320% bonus crit damage. Now, when it comes to crit resistance, that isn't really on the high priority of people's lists to build up, so therefore you just need to counterbalance and make sure that you're able to do that damage. So normally I would say between 120 to 130 crit possibility or crit bases would be more than sufficient. If you've got someone like the Velociraptor, he's going to provide you with bonus crit possibility as well anyway, so you might be a fair bit higher than this, because I think he gives something like 30% crit bonus. So that being said, your crit damage is done. Now you need your damage. So obviously you just want to go ahead and max out your magical attack, because that is your main priority. Now, the next thing that you need to do, guys, is you want to make sure that your hit capability is quite high. Now, I would always suggest make sure that your magical attack and your magical hit is the best it can be for your level that you are at. So max both of them out, because if you look at this now, my hit possibility is at 233%. So magical dodge means that it's going to be negated quite a bit. So if you look at this, by my witch, by the witch, she's got, if you look at the bottom over here, she's got magical dodge at 80%. So that means 80% of my magical hit is going to be taken away, which still means that I'm going to have 160% magical hit rate, which means that she's still pretty much going to get hit by a magical attack and take a ton of damage, because I'm going to crit because I've hit her. Now, if my magical hit was lower than her magical dodge, that would mean that I wouldn't hit her, because she would dodge my attacks all the time. So that is why it is super, super important to make sure that your magical hit is up there. Now, your next priority when it comes to any of the other stuff is going ahead and putting a little bit into HPs. Now, I'm going to go put 51 into my HPs here. Now, the reason why I'm going to do that is just because I want to save just a little bit. Now, I do understand that my ability points might be more than yours or might be less than yours. So this is what I would suggest to you, is make sure your crit rate or your crit is at 120 to 130. Make sure that your magic hit is at 200 to 240, because this is going to give you a huge advantage until all of your heroes are starting to be out ranked. So once you reach sort of level 14 on all of your heroes, that's when you're going to start wanting to level up your magical hit a little bit more. If you can, then by all means do it. So that's your magical hit. Then you want to go ahead and put sort of 30 into your HPs, and then any points that you've got left after that, or with me I've put 50 because I've got the points, but then you want to come down just a little bit, and you can see crit damage, crit resistance, and crit damage resistance. Now these are three very big spells, because obviously everyone wants to do more damage. If you can negate their bonus damage, you have the advantage in the battle. Now, I wouldn't really worry too much about the crit resistance and the crit damage resistance, because that's just going to drop the power down a little bit. So, for example, if you look at this right here, my Arno has 105% crit damage, or crit possibility, I should say. So if I had 105 crit resistance, then I'm going to be able to dodge his attacks all the time. So these are definitely spells that you want to be looking at leveling up, but not just yet, because it's not worth it until all of your heroes are in the plus 14 zone. Once they're all in the plus 14 zone, that's when you want to start looking at crit resistance and crit damage. And if you want my personal opinion, then you want to go ahead and do crit resistance as your number one effect, because if you can avoid getting crit at all, then you want to go ahead and do it. But because I haven't got that far yet, I'm going to sort of focus in my HPs and make sure that that is leveled up a fair bit there. But that is kind of the key to the success, guys. It seems really, really silly, but that is pretty much how you do it. So let's go ahead and just put these couple of points into the crit resistance right there. So it seems really crazy, but that is pretty much as simple as it is. You need to focus on skills like that. Obviously, any of your equipment that you can get is amazing, because after that, once you've done those stats, guys, your main priority is focusing on the correct skills for your heroes. Your correct equipment. So, for example, the witch, you want her to start off with rage. So you need to go ahead and buy the 2 pieces of gear that is going to give you the suitability of rage, which is this staff right here and this offhand piece right here. They are going to give you 100% rage at the start of the game. Now, you also want to go ahead and put that onto your war mage when you finally get them. Now, the other one is you want this sword, and you also want this offhand for the physicals, because this is again going to give you the bonuses of the rage. Now you can see it there, suitability of rage. Now this is really good because of the fact that if you've got the king in your team, he's going to cast that purification skill, which is going to protect your team. If you're putting it on Arno, he's going to be able to put a ton of extra damage in. If you're going to put it on the Monkey King, then he's going to have his secondary ability straight away, which is going to knock down the enemy team. Or whoever you put it on, guys, whoever you have them for, that's what you want to focus on. And that, my friends, is a very quick little thing of what I like to do, what I like to prioritize. If you have any different opinions, then put down in the comments down below. If not, I really hope that this video has helped you prioritize which stuff you need to be working on. And as I say, as long as you have your crit at sort of about, personally I say 130%, that means you're always going to crit at 100% of the time, and make sure that you have the good amount of damage onto your damage skills, and you're pretty much set, guys. So anyway, I really hope that you've enjoyed this quick little video. I really hope that for those that have been asking about it, this has really helped you out quite a bit. And for me, my friends, I shall see you in the next one. Peace on the streets.